Hello everybody, Kreider here. We're going into the final week of the STEAM Showdown. I thought I'd go over the decks that we've got going up to the top 8 possibilities. Not all these guys are going to make it, and there might be a couple that I'm not showcasing right now that'll make it, but I just want to go over them real quick and just go over how I think they did look overall and what could be done better possibly. I mean, it's all up to the individual user and their play style, you know, how they've played it in the past and things they've seen. But just my experiences, I've played most of these decks a couple times, and obviously I didn't make them. There's some changes I'd have made, and maybe I'm not playing them quite as good as the person who registered it in the tournament, which is more than likely the case. But so we'll go ahead and start off with my ramp deck. Currently the only undefeated deck. I've lost one game to Legend, and his red deck wins. This is pretty much exactly what CGB ran. This is the deck that a couple of us came up with back in December with some notable changes. Twin Bolt being one that he didn't run. I've ran it pretty much from the beginning because I see a lot of 1 toughness creatures, and I've noticed that that's required to take care of them. I don't know if this is going to be in here much longer when the ramp deck gets readjusted for the new cards, but we'll see. I originally ran the Oran Reef Hydra here instead of Outland Colossus, but after looking at how CGB was running it and just the way the mana runs out in this deck, you know, Outland Colossus is on curve for where you need him to be at, and he can trade with Woodland Wanderer and a few other creatures that come out early, especially if you go second. So he got the nod over the Oran Reef Hydra, even though the Hydra just gets ridiculous quick and it has trample. Nothing really can go toe to toe with an Outland Colossus after it gets big, you know, and he can only be blocked by 1 creature, so you're in a good position with him. I also replaced the Desolation Twin with a Woodland Wanderer because I don't think we need as much tie-in with this particular deck. Between Ulamog and the 3 Rolling Thunders, pretty much will finish out the games for you. But earlier on, when you're getting up to 6 mana, you want a Woodland Wanderer out there, or the Green Warden. And you know, this guy will pull up a enchantment killing elf, or he'll pull up a wall to get you into the land to thin your deck. I mean, he's fantastic. I highly suggest using him, at least for now. Otherwise, you know, we're running pretty much the same stuff. I think he's running 1 less Canopy Vista, and one of these is extra, maybe an extra forest. He might be running 6 mountains. I can't remember how many he's running. Didn't really care because I adjusted this based off of my play, and it's done pretty well for me. It's the only deck in both tournaments that I can recall that went undefeated through the first 4 rounds. I think he went undefeated all 5. I may or may not. Grimrick is my opponent. We're going to make some sort of play game here next day or 2, I hope. We'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and go to the other decks they have in the tournament. That was mine. We're going to go over here to Dreammaker. I just played him. Actually, he's pretty much out of the tournament now. I just remember he played his game already. Yeah, it is what it is. He was a good opponent. I don't think he played the last match very well. At least that's what he was saying, if I remember right. So next up is Yondar. Yondar's deck is very good. His major problem, and he even stated, is his mana base. I think his biggest problem is mana base. He has no way of fixing it. You know, there's no evolutionary wilds. If he had, I'm sorry, not evolutionary. It's been a long day. Can't even remember the card name. Evolving Wilds, not evolutionary, but Evolving Wilds. Had he had Evolving Wilds in here, he probably would have helped him out in a couple games. But it's really strong. If you look at our game 1 from week 4, I mean, he just came out Snapping Gnarlid, Bounding Crasis, Frostlings. Then he had Disperse. I mean, just straight out was kicking my tail. Lucky Radiant Flame saved my butt. And bad land draw on his part, along with a well-timed Volvani Acid Moss. Otherwise, I'm pretty certain we'd have gone to 3 games. But it's a very strong deck. I have high hopes that he'll make the Final 4, or excuse me, the top 8, and get to the finals. As long as his mana base doesn't fail him, I don't see how he'll have a, at least not have good games. You know what I mean? So next up after Yondar is his opponent, Darkshot. Kratz. There's a couple of Kratz decks, and they're all at the 2 and 2 level. Very strong. I definitely do not want to fight these guys. The Rot Shambler is one of those cards that I discounted at first in Kratz, and until I got hit with a 9/9 Rot Shambler, and after that I've been paying attention to it because it's actually pretty good. You have to take care of it early, or before you get a Husk out. He is running 4 Active Treasons, which for me is bad because I like to put out a blocker, and that's pretty big and fat, and then with the exception of 2 of my creatures, he can just take them from me, swing in, and then with his hope is to use an Husk on it. Card draw engine, but it's not super great because we can only have 2 of them. And then he's got the Ignitions, which is a really bad day if he's able to get an early Husk, a couple early creatures, and then Ignition is Husk. Yondar, I think, has a pretty good chance against him because he's got bounce spells and tap spells to take the Husk out of the equation, and that's what I'm thinking. He is running some Evolving Wilds, and he's got a really good mana base, I think. So that's gonna be probably a very good match. Probably the match of the week in my mind. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So that's Darkshot. Next up is my opponent, Grimrick. I've played this deck a couple times, and to be honest with you, I'm doing really crappy with it. I think I'm 2-9 right now, which is not great. It's probably a play error on my part, but he's playing some pretty strong cards in here. Aggregate at first is one of those cards I was thinking it was just as a blocker, but I mean, he's got Blister Pods are colorless, Perilous Miller is colorless. This guy pumps himself 1. You get a From Beyond out there uncontested. This guy just gets ridiculously huge quick, and I mean, the ingest isn't great, but it's the trample. Fantastic. You can do good things with that. He's got rid of 4 sweepers, which against me isn't going to be a huge help. Singularly, together, they can whack out some of my big fat, especially the Gaze Revenge. But singularly, they're not going to do much. He's also running 1 Ignition, which I believe his favorite target for that is going to be the Plated Crusher, which means it'll be my least favorite target for that. Probably my best bet is to keep him off of 7 mana plus 6, hopefully, because the renewal just puts him to 9, and it's just a bad day for me. So for us, it's going to be who ramps up fastest. He is playing 3 Pilgrimages. He's running a lot of Forest. So, nobody likes the Acid Moss. I get it. I don't even like it. But it's very strong in the deck I'm playing. So destroying Forest against him is probably not going to work out well. I'm thinking probably black. Keep him off of Obnixilus if I can, even though it's a singular. Or possibly even red. So he can't use his Rolling Thunders as effectively. But I mean, I think the big thing for us is who gets the bigger creature out first, and maybe if I can get out Omnath. I mean, Omnath will just tear the game up. But we'll see. It should be an interesting fight. Let's see. We just went over Grimrick. We've got Bo's Red Deck Wins, which is coming into the finals pretty strong. I think he's 3-1 now. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Bo's on the 3-in-1 list about midway through it. It's got some pretty, in my mind, odd choices because it isn't maxed out in a lot of stuff. You know, one fire impulse, which happened to be what he drew second game against Legend, and that right there finished the game pretty much. Everything else after that was just playing the game out. 2 Titan Strength instead of 4, which is typically what you see. 2 instead of 3 Haulers. 3 out of the 4 Slide Runners. 3 out of the 4 Majoring Bullies. You know, the 3 Twin Bolts, which isn't huge, it's just a little unusual. Only 2 Thopt Engineers. The Singleton Touch the Void, which he drew that the first game and finished him off with it. You know, interesting choices, but it's worked out for him so far, and it's a strong deck. I mean, definitely not one I want to face. And fortunately, I don't have to this time. Next up is Dark Shock Kratz. I believe he is the one playing Yandar. Another strong deck. He's got the Blister Pods. He's got 1 Bone Splinters for removal, which honestly I think I wouldn't even bother with as a Singleton. I'd put it in another creature probably, but on the occasion you draw it, it's usually pretty helpful. He's playing 2 Leaks. He's got the Flesh Bags for other removal, which with all the tokens we have running around, I don't know how good this has really been for him. The Linchpin, obviously the Husk. He is running the 4 Acts, and he's got the Eyeless Watchers as well. The 1 Flame Shatter Conjuring, which in most decks I think is kind of a waste, but in this one I think it's really good. You draw it great if you don't, you know, go about your business. And then he's running the Brood Butchers, which could be pretty good. You know, sacrifice to get your Rot Shambler huge if you don't happen to have your Husk, and kill all creatures. You know, use that sacrifice and stuff with Brood Butcher. I mean, you can do some pretty crazy stuff with it if they let it live. He's also doing the big Husk Ignition combo, which can also be done with the Rot Shambler. He has a pretty balanced mana base, and he is running a couple Evolving Wilds. This is very similar to the other Kratz deck, just a couple of changes. Glad I'm not playing it right now. Hopefully I don't have to, because the Active Treasons honestly scare me, just because they can take my blocker I'm trying to survive with and smack me about the face with it. It's a little scary in that regard. Alright, I believe next up is Step Up. He is also playing everybody's least favorite deck, the Cruel Ramp. He decided not to play the Gatekeeper Vines. Instead, he's playing more early removal. He's got the 4 Impulses, the 2 Twin Bolts. Obviously, most Squirrels going to play 3 Rolling Thunders. He also put it in an Exquisite Firecraft. You know, very cost-effective removal and damage the face. Got the Pilgrimages, the Acid Moss. I mean, he's running pretty much. We're not too far apart in what we're running. He's playing an extra Forest. I believe he's actually playing 24 land where I play 23, and he puts that extra one in the forest. So instead of some early game land grab and blocker, he's got some more removal. You know, what works for him, what works for him. Otherwise, our decks are very similar. If we were to play each other, that's the card of the day. You know, who ramps first, who ramps the most. Pilgrimage into Renewal wins you the game. It has absolutely nothing to do so much with Acid Moss, because if your opponent gets out of Pilgrimage, the Acid Moss just puts you at par. 2 Acid Moss, however, is painful. So that's the card of the day in a ramp mirror, followed quickly by the Acid Moss and then the Renewal. I mean, if you can get those 3 off in that order, you're going to be hard pressed to lose the game. I mean, seriously, it's tough. So, 2 more left to go. Terrazin, which I haven't played. He's playing a tempo deck just like Yondar, but it's different. He's playing a Singleton Dispel. Not certain how effective that's been for him, but I understand the thought behind it. You know, Jace, he's got the Visionaries, horribly awry. So he's playing a lot more counter synergistic, if you will. Tempo. You know, he's only got 1 Sky Spawner, which I don't know how effective that's been as a Singleton. You know, 2 Links. He's got the Singleton Sage. He's got the Krasis, which is good. He's got 2 Scatter the Winds, and he's got 3 Shrivels, so that gives him what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 counters, plus whatever he can do with Disciple. The Whirler Rogue, he's only running 2 of those. I'm thinking Terrazin didn't have all the cards when he started. There's a lot of these things I think he would like to play 2 of, possibly. It's hard to say. Maybe this is the deck he wanted to play. It definitely has an unusual choice to Willbreaker, which can definitely just turn games around out of nowhere. But 3 toughness has always turned me off on him. He's got the Downers. That'd have been nice to have 2 of those, because those are just probably one of the better. Eldrazi at 6 mana under. He's got the Beller, he's got the 2 Revenges, but he does not have Olamog, which may not be a mistake. Yeah, he's only got 24 land. He's got no real ramp to speak of, other than Kiora, if you will. So, it's done well for him. Should be interesting to watch how he does, because he is playing counters where most people aren't. I forgot he's got Dispel, so that's another counter spell he's got. So is that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counters, plus whatever you can get off of Disciple the Ring. And then finally we got Spawn's Kratz, which I believe is the 3rd one we're looking at here. This is he's our last player. He came in when somebody couldn't make it. He's running the Blister Pods. He's got Vampiric Rites. He's running the full suite of Perilous Mirror. 3 Gatecreeper Vines, which I think is really smart in this deck. Allows him to fix his mana. He's running the 2 Shadows of the Past. That way he can stack what he's drawing next. Pretty sweet. Plus he can finish people off with it, which I haven't seen that happen too much after Battle for Zendikar came out, but it's another avenue for victory. He's got the Leaps. He's got Liliana. He's also got the Husk, which is the linchpin of most of these decks. He's got the Act of Treason, which is kind of scary for me. But the upper end of this deck is Obnixilis. You know, so pretty sweet. He's running a lot more green than some of these decks do. As you can see, he's 14-14 and only 4 red cards, and they're all Act of Treason. And his mana base actually reflects that. You know, he's going to run 10 basics. He's got lots of black and green available, and it kind of goes into the red as well. And he's running the full suite of Evolving Wilds. So he doesn't want to get color screwed unnecessarily. And I think his deck is probably going to be the best of the Kratz that are in here. I like it very much. The only thing that I wish he had in here, I'm not certain how he would do it, is the Chandra's Ignition would have been fantastic in this deck. Like I said, without taking something out, maybe Act of Treason. Yeah, but it also changes red mana requirements, which may or may not be something that he could do. So it's a really good deck, and I'm glad I'm not facing it. It's had me kind of worried most of this tournament, especially after I got through with my 2 red deck wins at the first 2 rounds. So there you go. That is a good portion of the decks are in the vie for the finals. Definitely not all of them that could make it. I basically didn't want to make them all. Mainly it's just due to laziness, but these are some of these decks are going to make it the finals, and it should be pretty interesting to see. So thanks for watching. Post my game up against Grimrick as soon as we figure out when we're going to do it. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. Take care.